basically the key artifacts and deliverables in Lean. Again, I wouldn't really, Lean doesn't really come up with a prescriptive set like Scrum or Kanban where it says this is important, this must be delivered, because it's a lightweight agile approach. It's not a really full-fledged agile methodology like DSDM or SAFe. So we can try and use some of these techniques that we have been seeing. We're going to see like DMIC. We can try and use it in the context of where we are. But I'll just give you some, indication of what are the different approaches that we use. So again, working with different stakeholders is very important. So if you're in Agile, it's all about connecting with different people, understanding what the customers are, who the users are, who the stakeholders, what is the internal versus external and a touch point, working with the partners, with the suppliers, identifying where the touch points and where there is a potential for waste. So it's all about working in tandem with the customers, users, other key stakeholders, pre-sales, business development, operations, product manager, director, senior management, all the CXO. So it's all about how we can work, in close contact and working closely with all these different types of stakeholders and how we can generate value both internally as well as externally. So very important again in the context of Lean. This is the kind of cornerstone for Lean. When it comes to the continuous improvement, again, Lean does rely on the PDCA, the Kaizen, like in Kanban, the continuous improvement way of thinking and working. You don't just do it once and then forget. You need to continuously look at your processes, look at your product, services, and try and improve it as you go along. And that's where you're talking about the, in the context of agile development, it's about the analyze, implement, evaluate, identify. This whole circle goes, again and again and again. It's a continuous cycle of improvement. It's quite opposed to the waterfall, right? Yesterday we've seen that, and also the previous agile sessions we've discussed how agile actually makes the whole approach of solving problems in an iterative, incremental manner. It's not about just doing once and forgetting. It's continuously improving things day by day and hour by hour. And then for this one, what Lean suggests is basically what we call as 5S. We need to assess where we are, how we are improving. Are we improving or not? So for that, we need to measure. If we don't measure, we can't manage it. If we can't know whether we are really improving or not. And that's why there are different frameworks for that, but there is something called as SQC, Statistical Quality Control, and Statistical Quality Assurance, and then SPA, for example, Statistical Process Assurance. So all of these are different ways that Lean would recommend us to look at the process, look at the ways of working, make sure it is all going in tandem. It is actually being looked at, verified, validated, and then delivered. Again, relating it back to Scrum, it's the sprint retrospectives, it's the daily Scrum, it's the sprint planning, it's all of these sprint reviews. All of these actually give these different sprint ceremonies and Scrum events. They give us opportunities to understand, to verify, to validate whether we are going the right path and whether that needs corrections, course corrections or not, right? So that's again what we call as 5S in the Lean model. It says sort, stabilize, shine, standardize, and sustain. Again, coming in from the manufacturing setup. So this actually means pretty much what we had in the PDCA, plan, do, check, act. It's pretty much similar. So sorting, stabilizing, once you stabilize, then give it a nice shine, and then standardize it once you actually get a better understanding, make it a template, make it a process, a procedure, and then you communicate and sustain, and continuous improvement, continuous development. And that's what Lean is all about. So again, 5S is another very valuable tool for that. And then this is one of the other techniques you might have come across called the FiveY technique, or even this is called as Ishikawa, going after the person who created this, or Fishbone diagram. There are different ways for this, but basically what it does is to try and get you to the root cause of any problem, why certain thing is happening. You ask questions, why, to get to understand go to the real root cause of why something is happening. So on the top of it doesn't appear where the problem is, the symptoms that appear. So it's pretty much like the doctors doing a diagnosis of your problem, of your so-called problem, but it's not a problem, it's a symptom. So it only is showing up as symptom. Your temperature, the body temperature, is only a way. It's not the problem. We think it's a problem. The patient thinks it's a problem. But when you go to the doctor asks, okay, how are you feeling? What are the things? What did you do yesterday? What were the kind of food that you're having? Where did you go? Blah, blah, blah. All those things, because that would give them an indication of why the temperature has come, because the temperature itself is not a problem. It's a symptom. And why it came through is basically because of various things that you did. Then they ask why it happened, blah, 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 just to get to the real root cause of it. Could be because of an infection or a virus or something else, or a reaction to something, right? All of these, that's the root cause. So to get to that, you need to use this 5Y technique. Go to the fifth or the fourth Y would typically give you the root cause of that. So there's some ways that you can do it. We can actually try and define that in the context of methods, machinery, materials, manpower. So we can actually say, okay, let's look at methods, let's look at the processes, let's look at the equipment, let's look at the people, let's look at the materials and the substances and the other equipment that we have used, all of those. So we can actually, these are the things that could help us as kind of indicators or triggers to get to the real problem. So this is very helpful again to in a lot of contexts in software development as well. And then ask the right questions. So there are a lot of different simple tools, simple ways that you do. And the problem statement, for example, gives you a good handle on that, creating a problem statement and saying that, okay, this is why we're having this, or this is where the problem has come through, and this is how we can approach it. This is when this problem is happening, and this is who the problem has been affecting. And this is actually the problem definition of the problem statement. So what, why, where, when, who, and how. This is pretty much a very good framework to get to anything. This is what I call it the 6 best friends of a man, or even all of us. These are 6 best friends because they were to anything in the world. You could actually apply the simple questions. If so long as you get the answers to these, I think that would give a fair bit understanding about that subject. But that is like ice skating, for example. What is ice skating? Why do you need that? Where do you need that? Where can you do that? When can you do ice skating? It can only do it in winter, not in summer, or only do it when it has snow or ice, right? And then who can do it? Well, anybody who's trained or who has got that. You can't just go on a trip to Switzerland and start doing skating, for example. So the ski diving, for example, what is it? How it is different from ice skating? Why do you do that? For the pleasure of it, for a hobby, or for actually trying to take your body to the next level, to actually get to that next level of fitness, for example, to test yourself, to have fun. Snow is fun, right? So where can you do that? You can't obviously do it in your home. Can you do it in your home? You can't do it. Can't do ice skating or a ski diving in your home. It has to be done in some separate setup in an environment. How can you do that? The techniques, the ways you do that, you practice it when during some particular time. So all of these, whether it is ice skating or whether it is scuba diving, or whether it is to do with your software development, whether it is to do with creating a product, a mobile app for the e-commerce website, asking these questions give you a lot of information, at least to start with, and then you can build on the top of that. That's the beauty